Hey, this is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and we have a very special guest, Beaver
Corder, and he's with the Citizens for Election Integrity in Kentucky. Hey, Beaver.
Hey there, how are you?
Good.
Go ahead, Dr. Simon.
We've just been having an election, and we're a little disappointed that the governor has conceded. There seems to be a certain amount of voter fraud going on. Beaver, can you tell us a little bit about that?
What we've been dealing with is just numerous, if not hundreds and hundreds of stories and text messages and phone calls and emails. We have sworn affidavits that have been turned in regards to Election Day and incidents that occurred. The situation seems to be issues with electronic machines, scanned ballots that would not scan. Some of the most frustrating and upsetting things to some individuals is it appears to be primarily seniors and veterans that are normally periodic voters, sometimes don't vote in off-year elections, but were motivated because of the pro-life issues and the constitutional conservative nature of this particular governor and the election in general. They went to the polls in mass numbers, and they were going to vote Republican and vote conservative. When they got there, unfortunately, many of them were turned away and told they could not vote because they had already voted. And they said, no, we have not. We have not voted. We haven't been there. We haven't been to the clerk's office. We just got here to the polls. And some of them even had to get rides there, especially the seniors and some of the elderly veterans. But they were told they had already voted and that they had voted absentee.
Really?
So these things are great concerns to us,
Absolutely.
regardless of your political affiliation.
Yes.
Regardless, you should want honest and fair elections in the state of Kentucky. You should want to know that when you walk into that polling station and you cast your vote, that it counts.
We have a number here. We're going to give them our number.
Kentuckians for Freedom.
Is that right?
Is that okay, Beaver?
That's what now?
Can we give them the number to Kentuckians for Freedom? We can endorse candidates, but we could actually be partial to a particular party. That's why we want to give them that number instead of the state of elections. Is that okay to do that?
Whichever you decide. I'm just happy that you've given us an opportunity to encourage people. My goal is nothing more to encourage people. If you see something, say something. If you had experienced anything or you saw any type of irregularities on Election Day, if you were a victim of being turned away from voting when you knew that you had not voted, if you feel like someone voted in your stead via absentee ballot, then by all means, please, 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 it's not too late. Call in and take part in this movement, if you would, that we're trying to push forward. This is a really scary situation. It's hard for me to imagine that this has happened on such a wholesale fashion, but it appears to be the case.
The number to call if you have thought there was some irregularity, call us right now at area code 502-895-5025. That's 895-5025. So you can call right now.
Leave a message.
Message machine there. You can record your message, leave your name, address, and phone number, and we'll try to confirm with you what the problem was.
We had, as many people know, some videos that were dropped and have gone viral from a whistleblower that is involved, somehow connected to the company that either manufactures or distributes these electronic voting machines. In these documentations or in these documentaries, they have exposed and divulged many of the things that we later saw on Election Day. They said this is what's going to happen. This is what they were told to do when people came to the polls and their ballots wouldn't scan or whatever would happen. A lot of what we ended up seeing was foretold. So these are the kind of things that really scare you, to know that it was so orchestrated and that it was thought out and planned out. And we need honest elections in the state of Kentucky. I'm sorry, someone's calling in what the beeping is. We need honest elections in the state of Kentucky. And I appreciate any help. Dr. Simon, you've been such a supporter of constitutional conservatism. You've been such a supporter of right to life. And that's what this election was about more than anything else. And everybody realized that. About the defense and the protection of the unborn. That was the single driving force with this election more than anything else. Obviously, there were different combatants on the other side. But for us, that was the reason that we went to the polls. That was what drove us to the polls.
Do you know what groups were talking about this beforehand, saying this is what we're going to do? Are they telling people to do that?
I would point you to those videos. I think the lady's name was Millie Weaver. Millennium Millie, is that correct? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She's on Facebook and Twitter. I would encourage people, if they haven't seen those, to please go watch all of those videos, Twitter videos. Millie Weaver. It's really shocking. Everything that they discussed would happen. It happened.
What's scary, too, you're talking about being scared, when you watch them old-time U.S. foreign relations, CIA movies, and all the corrupt countries in the other parts of the world, thinking, oh, it can never happen here. But it sounds like to me that we are being infiltrated by people who just don't love our freedom. They want one-party control. It's really sad.
Furthermore, I received a phone call from the father of a very, very well-known senator and former United States candidate for the president. You all know him well. You all love him as a candidate. He's a very fine, upstanding, conservative man and a godly man, a strong pro-life advocate. His father called me yesterday 3 different times, and we were discussing what was going on here in Kentucky, and they were very much involved in looking at this and helping us with what little they could from their side of it. But this is exactly what happened to his son.
Wow.
They targeted his son to take him out in Texas. This is very real, and it's very concerning. We can't let this happen. This is not a third world country. This is not some backwoods situation where people are just struggling to overcome a dictator. This is where my family has fought and bled and died since the Revolutionary War. My family has been involved in every single conflict, fighting for freedom, fighting for the flag, fighting for our right to vote.
And most of ours
since
have.
the Revolutionary War.
When you're sitting there talking about the person in another state.
Yes, ma'am.
I fear that this has probably happened all over, because you think about it, most big cities have Democrat leaders. And look at those, they're so failing. They have so much homelessness problems. They're becoming bankrupt. Look at California.
Well, this insider has revealed and provided evidence that this same company and these same people and these same tactics were used all the way back in the 2000 Bush-Gore election in Florida.
2001 with the hanging Chad?
2001, yes. This is what I'd like for everyone to try to wrap their mind around. As crazy as this is, we had 175,000 voters that we were forced to put back on the roll that had been purged, that were either dead voters, had moved away, had been identified as no longer valid to be a part of our voter rolls. But yet a judge forced those voters to be returned to the roll.
Do we know who that judge is?
Yes, that's a matter of public record, but I won't name it on the radio station. If you think about that, and then we see 30,000 added to the Louisville rolls, and we see 20,000 added to the Fayette County rolls, if they can do that and get away with it, how easy would it be to affect a magistrate's race, mayoral race, a county judge's race, district judge's race, where oftentimes only 200 or 300 votes decide the outcome of that election? If they can sway an election statewide by tens of thousands of votes, or even 100,000 or more, as it could potentially be, how easy would it be for them to put any magistrate, any judge, any county official, for that matter, any dog catcher they wanted?
So 20,000 you said that was in Fayette County that was added, and the 30,000 new voters. I saw somewhere, and I believe it was on WLKY in Lexington, I'm not for sure, the commentator said, we found out that wasn't true, that 20,000 were not added to the Fayette County voter rolls. They're just continuing to not give the public the true spectrum of actually the corruption's going on. I've never heard about that before. When you said earlier that somebody would go in and said they'd already been voted in their stead, that is absolutely amazing.
92-year-old veteran, I think it was in Madison County. It was one of the most decorated soldiers in our state.
He
was a 92-year-old veteran, fought in World War II. I believe I was told he fought in both World War II and the Korean conflict. He got there to vote, and they told him he could not vote. He said, yes, I can. He said, I'm registered to vote. They said, you've already voted. You voted absentee. When we're able to get into this, I think we'll find out that many of these votes were cast in a manner that voters would not have agreed with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm very suspicious of that kind of activity. Aren't you, Dr. Simon?
Yeah. He says, well, we're going to vote for you, and we'll vote the way we want to vote, and it's just too bad for you.
That happened to me. If I go up to my place, my precinct, and they said I voted, can't I call someone immediately and say, no, I resist this or contest this? Yeah. I'll say, I didn't vote. I haven't voted. Can I see the signature? I want to compare it to mine. Is there something we can do to demand it if that was to happen again next year? We want to say, hey, I want to see my signature. You say I voted, I want to see it.
We may not be happy with the outcome of the governor's race, but the fact remains that all of the constitutional officers or candidates were installed. We still have control of the House. We still have control of the Senate. And we have some very godly, strong men and women that are very unhappy with the way things turned out. This one thing we can do. We may not be able to keep Governor Bevan in that seat or any other particular candidate, whichever candidate might be in different seats around the state. I don't know if there were any other special elections or whatever. Those may not be able to be affected this time around. We can fight to change the policy. We can fight to change the way this happens going forward. And I urge people now, in order to do that, in order to continue to call attention to this, in order to drive this message home, please, if you saw something, say something. If you experienced anything or you witnessed any type of regulation, please come forward now and make it known.
Well, let me give you that phone number again. It's area code 502-895-5025.
Please call in.
Let me just repeat it. Area code 502-895-5025. And there's an answering machine there right now. And just leave your name, address, and phone number. We'll get you into the system.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share this broadcast with you. Thank you so very much for all that you do for Kentucky and for not only that, but for our country. We know that this was just a precursor, a test, if you would. They hope to pull off the same type of shenanigans for
2020.
The 2020 elections. They would love to unseat Trump. They never expected him to get there. They never expected us to win all these down ticket races 3-1 either. So that really spoiled their plans. And that's what allowed us to see what they did, because they tried to pull something off. It appears they've tried to pull something off that they couldn't accomplish. Now, I'm sorry if I seem to be so suspicious.
You need to be a watchdog.
This does not look right.
Well, you got all of these reports from all over the state. We do have the reports, and
we have the affidavits of people who personally experienced this.
That's important.
Well, do you think this at least will help for the 2020 for that?
We sure hope so. Yes, ma'am. If nothing else, it'll cause the legislators in Kentucky to take the initiative to change the policy.
I'm sure you are busy. We want to thank you for calling in. We thank you for all your concern and all your hard work, getting all this information to us and encouraging people to go forth, tell what's happening to them instead of sitting in the background and letting it just happen. We need to encourage people to get out and tell the truth of what happened to them in the elections.
It's an honor and a joy to serve. We were praying for a miracle for someone on the inside to come forward and that the Lord would touch their heart. And so that happened. Wow. And to God be the glory.
Well, God be the glory. And thank you. You've given us more information than we thought.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. It's amazing that, like he said, everybody wants honest elections.
Well, wait a minute now. I don't know about that. If they're trying to do this and letting that poor 92-year-old man that was a veteran not vote, so I don't think I will agree with that, Dr. Simon. Not everybody wants honest elections.
Everybody should want.
Something that everybody should want.
Yes.
To have an honest election so that next time one of our listeners could go and vote and they say, oh, no, we're not going to let you vote.
Well, because you can't. You've already voted, they're saying. I didn't know that they even counted the absentee votes till after the fact, because that means they would have to have had on that roll. They'd have to go through all the rolls, put the absentees in before the election, and say this person voted. So I'm wondering if they even...
That sounds right. I'm not positive about that, but I did work just one election. That sounds like what we were told.
I've worked it many times in Lexington, and I never had anything in there about
absentee.
Preventing you from voting.
Well, no, I never had it where this person's already signed in or this person's already voted because he did it absentee. I did it for 4 or 5 years. And what I'm saying is, he went in, they said, you've already voted. Well, how would they have known? I don't think the electioner officers know that somebody voted. And that's what I'm saying. That's what sounds even more corrupt.
I think we just can't, in this situation, I don't think we can overemphasize the fact that we need to have everyone come out that saw anything.
If one person is not going to be able to make a difference, but if enough people call in, then something could.
This is valuable because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you could run under the Communist Party. The thing is, we want an honest election. That's what America's about. We are self-ruled, not by a king or anything else.
A one-party rule, that's what they're wanting it to be. I'm just going to be blunt, and that's what the Democrats want. They hate Trump so much. Instead of letting the poor man, let him just be the president, and if you don't like it, vote against him. To me, when you get these little texts from their Don Jr. saying, Father, the other side is trying to help us to defeat these people, they're constantly on his father, and they're trying to destroy him. To me, that is sad to think that a son of a president has to plead to the people to stop these people from destroying. As much as we couldn't stand Obama, and I'll be honest, it was really hard for me when he was in there, but I would never have treated his family, the office, or him like they have treated him, Trump.
If you have any information about suspicious voting procedures, please call us right now at area code 502-895-5025. Call right now, and it'll be an answering machine when you call, but just leave your name, address, and phone number. If you could, spell your name and spell your address, and give your phone number. Phone area code 502-895-5025. It'll make a huge difference. We just sit back, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Potentially, we're talking about people who can actually effect a coup on any level. That should
scare you.
That should scare every American if they value
freedom.
If they value freedom, because once this kind of freedom is taken away, you could look at country after country doesn't get back.
Can you imagine if they can do this to our president? If they succeed, then who is safe? Nobody.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe.
And I want to praise Donald Trump. My father, actually, who's passed, he saw something in Trump that I didn't see. And I have to give him credit for that. I had another candidate. I don't know if there's another. I'm sure there are very worthy people, but to have withstood this, on the inside, people playing against him, and on the outside, and the media constant, it's just unreal.
We go over his accomplishments here. It says 4 million jobs created since the election.
Wow.
That's a huge number of jobs. Especially the Mexicans have the lowest unemployment rate they've had, I guess, forever.
Hispanics.
Yeah.
And Asians, too, they said. And women. Women's got a high rate of...
African Americans.
True.
It's something, he's helping everybody. He's lowered the taxes so we can take home more of the money that we make.
And this, too, is interesting. Almost 3.9 million Americans have been lifted off the food stamp. That is wonderful to think that people can make a little more money to buy their own food instead of be dependent on the government. But yet it's there for people who need it.
Manufacturer jobs are increasing. Economy, I remember the last president said, oh, well, we're going to have to be settled for 2% growth. And here it's on like 4%. So that's a huge difference. New unemployment claims at 49-year low. 49 years.
Wow.
That's a lot. Unemployment claims recently hit 49-year low. Median income is going up. In Kentucky, our median income went up too.
Oh, did it?
Less unemployment, more investment in the state. In other words, Kentucky used to be near the bottom as far as average income, but now we've come off the bottom and we're getting up a lot better. So a lot going on. We need to work to keep this going.
I absolutely think so. I know we're getting close on time, but I want to add, when we went to the Lexington rally, got to cover that for WBNA. One of the things I discovered is that there were people who were going around, and this is a good thing. They were trying to make people aware of other news sources other than mainstream media.
Yeah.
And right now, that is where Americans have to, our democracy depends on an informed public. Accurate, yes.
That's exactly right.
Now, if they could do it back in days of Paul Revere and the very beginnings where they went and gave out people pieces of paper that they would print off the press, told them what was going on, that's why we have gone to this route of going through other sources, media sources, because the main ones are really propaganda tools.
I hate to say it, but
They are.
That's true. So much true.
Talking about what's going on in the impeachment inquiries, they interviewed, or I guess talked to the lady, what's her name? The lady that was Ukrainian ambassador. And then she said she did her job accordingly, no matter who was in office. But what people don't understand, they were making that a big deal because he got rid of her. He fired her, Trump. But it's like, you work at the pleasure of the president. Presidents all through time have gotten rid of people for many reasons, for many, many reasons. So they're making this a big deal. And she stood up there and cried and said she'd been doing this for years and didn't understand why he got rid of her. But what the news media, the main news media was CBS, I heard, they didn't tell you that she was implementing Obama's plan still. She wasn't doing what Trump was wanting to do, our commander-in-chief now. So when that happens, well, you are indispensable. That's part of how we work. People think, oh, it's okay to hurt Trump and all the things you say about him, but yet when someone else gets laid off or whatever, it's the end of the world. Well, that's the way it works. Because Obama went around the world and told them how sorry of a country we were. And
the way the president got rid of ISIS. ISIS was taking over the Middle East area there. Also, he's keeping the opium from coming in across the Mexican border and people overdosing.
Reduced high-dose opium prescriptions by 16% in his first year. That's a lot.
Really important. Well, I tell you, we're about out of time. I appreciate John Brewer and Cindy Marlow, Beaver Corder, for helping us with this, and want you to tune in again next week for the rest of the news. Hi, I'm Dr. Frank Simon. I'm an allergist and family doctor, board certified in both allergy and internal medicine. I specialize in allergy, headaches, sinus, hives, cough, asthma, hypertension, and diabetes. We're located at 1404 Browns Lane near Norton Suburban Hospital. Our phone number is 895-5088. We can see you tomorrow. Hey, this is Frank Simon with the rest of the news, and we've got some startling video to show you of what's going on in the public schools here in Louisville. So if we could, we'd like to show you that video. It may take us just a minute to get it going.
More fallout on this classroom chaos at Iroquois High School following this fight between a student and a teacher.
We now know who's been sent in to help fix the problems with bad behavior. The brawl between a teacher and a student at Iroquois High School Monday boggled the mind.
I was sickened.
From Kentucky's Education Commissioner
Serving the sea.
to the Jefferson County Teachers Association. In concert, the question from the public, how could this happen?
There is a protocol.
This is a teacher and a student fighting in the classroom
At Iroquois High School.
at Iroquois High School here in Louisville.
Here in Louisville, Kentucky. Monday. This past Monday.
Okay. I guess that's enough, don't you think?
Are we going to show it again? He pushed her first.
No, that's not going on. You can just kill it from there.
I think this occurred about a week ago. We were trying to play that video again so you can see what actually happened. This was right here in Louisville at the Iroquois High School. The teacher told this student to put away his cell phone, and so he pushed her. And then she turned around and pushed him back, and then things went from bad to worse.
This is WDRB News.
Okay, I think that's enough, don't you?
And you can see how it escalated.
When I was in school, they didn't have fights like that where students would attack the teacher. I had a patient who was beaten up by the students, and this lady finally had to leave her job because it was just too much for her. Several times the students came and beat her up.
I have heard so many cases of not only the teachers, but bus drivers and stuff like that.
Unbelievable. They say when we were in school, the worst problem was people chewing gum.
And running the hallways, down the hallways.
And now they got people beating each other up. There was on here, after this video on the same program, that told the story of 4 boys that went in the bathroom and beat up a mentally retarded fellow until he was unconscious. He had to be put in this hospital.
And we have an epidemic of students under 13, like 10 to 13-year-olds commit suicide because of bullying.
I'd like to say there wasn't anything like this until they took prayer and God out of the public schools. We're reaping what we've sown. And the other thing is the teachers are taking the brunt of this. They're being beaten up, and the union is not doing anything to protect the teachers, or very little.
It all started with our leaders in the nation. We have leaders who are trying to get a president convicted of high crimes, and I just heard a good clip with Rush Limbaugh today, and I've actually read this in the Federalist Papers. People do not know their history. The high crime and treasons and bribery all focused. What the founders feared most was that if a president was to become president of the United States, they would give their power back to Britain. That's what the high crimes and treason was, treason against the new formed America. They switched the meaning. I like to use the word prostitute. They prostituted and they have diluted the meaning of high crimes and treasons with the founding fathers. And it also goes with separation church and state, how they've diluted that. And it's nowhere to be found. And now we've got what? Immoral behavior in school. We have children having sex in school because I heard teachers said they caught them in bathrooms. We have teachers being beat up like this teacher because why? We took God out.
I think an important point is the unions are not protecting the students. I mean, the teachers. That's why they have teachers' union. It should be to protect the teachers, especially about this type of thing. But really, looks like no discipline in the public schools. And the students just beat up and curse and push the teachers around.
So really think about it. What are the unions good for? All they do is get the teachers riled up about their pensions. They weren't going to go anywhere, and all they cared to think about the union bosses.
Now, at Iroquois High School, after this incident, we're told that, I think on the same clip, the teachers union did a study of all the teachers and asked them how many of them had been assaulted by their students. And it said 51%.